Hey everyone, and welcome to the Deep Dive. Ready to dive into something pretty interesting today?
Always.
Well, today we're going to be taking a deep dive into turmeric and all the buzz about it for weight loss.
Sounds good to me.
So, imagine you're kind of thinking about maybe trying turmeric, right? You know, help shed a few pounds. And you've maybe done a little reading online, but it's like, whoa, information overload.
Definitely a lot out there.
So that's where we come in, right?
Exactly. Let's cut through the noise.
We've got three sources we're going to be looking at today. First up, we have this article from the Times of India. And get this, it's all about turmeric drink recipes.
Okay.
So we're talking turmeric ginger zinger, golden milk, spicy turmeric mocha. They all sound so good and super easy to make. But the real question is, do these drinks actually work for weight loss?
That's what we're here to find out.
Right. So to get to the bottom of that, maybe we should start with what is it about turmeric that people think could help with weight loss?
Yeah, so the key player here is curcumin. It's the active compound in turmeric, and that's what researchers believe might play a role in weight loss.
Okay, curcumin. I've heard that word before, but what's so special about it?
Well, curcumin has some pretty powerful properties. We're talking antioxidant and anti-inflammatory, and there's some research out there suggesting that it might help suppress inflammatory markers linked to obesity.
Hold on, so inflammation can actually be bad for weight loss?
It can. Think of it this way. Chronic inflammation, it's like your body's inflammatory response is stuck in the on position.
Oh, I see.
And that can actually contribute to weight gain, not to mention a bunch of other health issues.
Wow, okay.
Now, a couple of the articles we're looking at, the Healthline and Health Match articles, both of them actually mentioned animal studies.
Interesting.
And in these studies, curcumin seemed to promote weight loss and even reduce fat tissue growth, which is pretty cool.
So it works in animals.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean it works the same way in humans, right?
You got it. And that's the million-dollar question. Research in humans is still kind of limited.
Okay.
The Healthline article did mention a 30-day human study where people taking curcumin supplements saw reductions in weight. It's promising,
of curcumin and even touched on supplements and, staying safe. So where does all this leave you if you're thinking about, actually giving turmeric a try?
Well, let's recap what we know so far. Turmeric, it might have weight loss benefits, but we need more research.
Right.
Especially research done with humans.
Gotcha. And if someone does want to try it out,
if you want to try turmeric for weight loss, supplements are probably more effective than just using it in your cooking. But remember, turmeric is not a magic bullet. It's not going to melt away fat overnight.
Right.
It's about adopting a healthy lifestyle, balanced diet, regular exercise, managing stress, the whole package. And always consult with your doctor before starting any new supplement. They can help you determine the right dosage and whether turmeric is even safe for you to take.
Good point. It sounds like weight loss is a very personal journey, so you really need to find what works best for you.
Absolutely. It's interesting we started this whole deep dive talking about weight loss because, the more we learn about turmeric, the more it seems like it could have benefits that go way beyond that.
Totally. Like, weight loss is just one piece of the turmeric puzzle, right?
Exactly. And what's really fascinating is how turmeric's anti-inflammatory properties, they seem to have these far-reaching effects.
Right.
Remember how we talked about chronic inflammation being linked to weight gain?
Yeah.
Well, the Healthline article, it also points out that chronic inflammation, it's associated with a whole bunch of other health issues too.
So, turmeric could potentially help with those other issues as well.
Potentially, yeah. The Healthline article mentions some studies that suggest turmeric could maybe play a role in protecting against heart disease, even Alzheimer's disease, and even certain types of cancer.
No way.
Yeah. Now, of course, we definitely need more research to, confirm these findings.
Right. But it's still pretty exciting to think about the possibilities.
It really is. It kind of makes you wonder if, modern science is just now catching up to what ancient cultures have known all along,
Right.
Turmeric's been used in traditional medicine systems like Ayurveda for centuries.
I think that's a great point. Traditional medicine, it often has a lot of wisdom to offer.
For sure.
And I think it's really important to keep an open mind when we're, exploring natural remedies and traditional practices.
Absolutely. But okay, let's get back to the science for a sec. We've been talking a lot about all the potential benefits of turmeric, but are there any risks or downsides to consider?
That's a super important question. Like any substance, even natural ones, turmeric can have side effects.
Right.
Especially if you're consuming it in large amounts or if you have certain health conditions.
Okay.
The Health Match article actually has a whole section about this, about potential side effects.
Okay, so what kind of side effects are we talking about? Some of the common ones they mentioned are stomach upset, diarrhea, heartburn, that kind of thing.
Okay. Nothing too serious, but definitely something to keep in mind.
Exactly. And there are some groups of people who should be extra cautious with turmeric.
Yeah.
For example, pregnant women or, breastfeeding women, they should probably avoid taking turmeric supplements. And people with gallbladder problems or bleeding disorders, anyone with those kinds of issues, they should definitely talk to their doctor before using turmeric at all.
Okay, so it sounds like, as with most things in life, moderation and caution are key.
Absolutely.
It's funny, as we're wrapping up this deep dive on turmeric, I'm realizing just how much there is to learn about this spice.
It's true. What started as a conversation about weight loss, it's really become this broader exploration of turmeric's potential health benefits.
Yeah, and it feels like we've only scratched the surface.
No. And you know what? It makes me think about something else. We've been mostly focusing on using turmeric for weight loss. But what about its impact on athletic performance?
Ooh.
Could turmeric maybe help athletes recover faster or perform better?
That's a really interesting question.
It is, right. And actually, researchers have been exploring this in recent years.
Oh, wow.
And there's some early evidence that suggests turmeric might have what they call ergogenic properties. So that basically means that it could potentially enhance athletic performance.
Really? That's fascinating.
It is. But as always, we need to look at the research carefully.
Right.
And not jump to conclusions too quickly.
So, what has the research shown so far?
Well, one thing they're looking at is turmeric's potential to reduce muscle soreness and inflammation after exercise.
Makes sense.
Right, given its, anti-inflammatory properties. There have been a few small studies that have shown some, promising results. For example, there was one study where they found that curcumin supplements, they actually helped reduce muscle damage and soreness in runners after a marathon.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
I can definitely see why athletes would be interested in that.
Right. But again, we need more research, especially larger scale studies, to confirm these findings and really understand the long-term effects.
Right, so muscle recovery is one potential benefit for athletes. But what about actually enhancing performance itself?
That's a great question. And there is some, again, early evidence to suggest that curcumin might improve endurance and reduce fatigue.
Oh, wow. How could that be?
Well, one theory is that curcumin might help increase the body's production of nitric oxide.
Nitric oxide.
Yeah, so nitric oxide is this molecule that helps improve blood flow
Okay.
and oxygen delivery to your muscles.
So improved blood flow means your muscles are getting the oxygen and nutrients they need to, like, perform better and recover faster. That's really interesting. So based on what we know so far, what would your advice be for athletes who are considering using turmeric?
I think the key is to approach it with like cautious optimism, you know. Turmeric, it definitely shows promise as a potential, ergogenic aid, but we still need more research. And as always, it's super important to talk to a doctor or a registered dietitian before adding any new supplement to your routine.
Yeah.
Especially if you're an athlete.
Right. They can help you figure out the right dosage.
Exactly.
And make sure that turmeric won't interact with any other medications or supplements you're already taking.
Exactly.
It's amazing how much ground we've covered in this deep dive on turmeric. We started with weight loss.
I know, right?
And now we're talking about athletic performance.
It has been quite a journey. And speaking of journeys, I think it's time to address the elephant in the room.
Oh.
The fact that turmeric has become like a bit of a hot topic lately.
Oh, you mean how some people are like, turmeric is a miracle cure. And then others are like, nah, it's all hype.
It's true.
It seems like almost any health trend these days can become kind of controversial.
It's unfortunate, but it's true. And it can be really tough to sort through all the noise out there and figure out what's actually true,
Yeah.
I think it's really important for us as like informed consumers to be able to separate the science from the hype.
Right.
And make decisions based on, actual evidence, not just what we hear or read online, on some random website.
Absolutely.
Ooh.
We need to be like critical thinkers.
Yes.
And carefully evaluate the evidence, no matter what.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that, science is constantly evolving.
Yeah.
What we know about turmeric today, it might be totally different from what we know tomorrow.
Right.
And that's okay. It's all about staying informed and being open to, new information.
That's a great point. So as we start to wrap up this deep dive, what final thoughts do you want to leave our listeners with when it comes to turmeric?
I think it's important to remember that turmeric, it's not a magic bullet, It's not going to solve all your health problems overnight.
Yeah.
But it does show promise as a natural remedy with a wide range of potential benefits. We talk about reducing inflammation, maybe supporting weight loss, even enhancing athletic performance.
So, it's worth exploring further.
I think so, but it's important to do your research, consult with healthcare professionals, and really make informed decisions about whether and how to incorporate turmeric into your life.
Well said. I couldn't agree more. It's kind of wild how we started this deep dive just talking about turmeric for weight loss.
Right.
And now we're talking about being savvy health consumers.
It's all connected though, isn't it? I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
We are just bombarded with so much information these days.
Oh, tell me about it.
Especially when it comes to health, right? So learning to really think critically about what we're seeing and hearing, that's more important now than ever.
It really is. It's so easy to get caught up in the hype of the next, big health trend.
Oh, yeah.
But like we've been talking about with turmeric, we need to look beyond those, catchy headlines and dig into the actual evidence.
Exactly. And that's what we've been trying to do in this deep dive, right?
Right.
Explore the science behind turmeric, the potential benefits, the risks, and even how turmeric's become kind of like a hot button topic.
Yeah, and I think it's been good to point out that, research on turmeric, it's still ongoing.
For sure.
There's still a lot we just don't know yet.
Right, exactly. But I think that's also part of what makes science so fascinating. It's this constantly evolving process. And we got to be open to new information and, changing our minds as new evidence emerges.
Yeah, so should people just give up trying to make sense of all this health information out there? I mean, it can feel pretty overwhelming.
No, not at all. I think the key is to approach it all with a healthy dose of skepticism. Don't just take things at face value,
So what can people do? What can our listeners do to become more, discerning when it comes to turmeric or really any health topic for that matter?
Well, a few things come to mind. First of all, be wary of anything that sounds too good to be true, right?
Yeah.
If something claims to be a miracle cure, it probably is.
That makes sense.
Second, always look for evidence-based information.
Okay.
Look for sources that are citing reputable scientific studies and be cautious about relying on just anecdotes or testimonials,
Right. So personal stories.
Yeah.
They aren't always reliable.
Exactly. Even if they sound really convincing.
Right.
Third, try to be aware of potential biases.
Oh, interesting.
Like, consider who's funding the research you're reading. What's their agenda?
That's a great point. Like, you got to know where the information's coming from to
Exactly.
really evaluate it.
And finally, don't be afraid to ask questions. If you're unsure about something, talk to your doctor, talk to a registered dietitian. They can help make sense of the information and figure out what's right for you.
That's great advice. So, as we wrap up this deep dive on turmeric, I want to encourage our listeners to keep exploring, Don't just take our word for it. Do your own research, ask questions, talk to your doctor.
Exactly. I mean, the more we learn about turmeric, the better equipped we are to make those informed decisions about how to use it,
Well said. I couldn't agree more. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of turmeric. We hope you found it helpful.
Yeah.
And maybe even a little bit inspiring.
Definitely. Keep learning, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.
See you next time.